Okay, so the true purpose in a lot of the things that's orchestrated to show the masculine as being weak, not able to have direction, not able to accomplish certain things financially, not able to accomplish things spiritually, not being able to accomplish things emotionally, especially because the emotions is the energy in motion. Learning to heal the inner child and balance your chakras is fantastic. Learning how to actually use the energy that you are learning how to redirect, that right there is paradigm shifting. So when you learn that, so we see black men in music videos, let's start there, right? And the only way that they have power is by having a record deal that is created by the Cabal so that you can buy cars, houses, and jewelry. But if you wanted to use money to buy land and build your own neighborhoods and have your own police department, well, then that's when a line is drawn. People that get these big record deals, they're not allowed to use the money however they see fit, which is why they make an example out of people like Kyrie Irving or Kanye West, people who are desiring to move consciousness into a unique direction from where it's been going. So what happens is, if they can't kill you, then they'll set you up like they did with Nipsey Hussle. If they can't get close enough to you, then, okay, Prodigy, all of a sudden he went from dead prayers to wanting to talk about the Hegelian dialect and make this long-ass album about it, exposing. No. So he chokes on an egg, and that's symbolic of something, right? Choking on an egg is symbolic of fertility. The egg is symbolic of feminine energy. So it's almost like feminine energy is what killed him and cut his life down short. All of these years of him having sickle cell and still being able to be a successful rapper and entrepreneur, and this is how he goes out on the West Coast. Let's be clear about that, because rituals and West Coast, there is a synonymous reason to do that where the sun sets in the west. So it's like taking the masculine solar energy and putting it in its place. All of these moves is to establish who has superiority, who has true dominance. So as a feminine embodied woman, us watching that, we feel a way. It triggers our epigenetic programming of trauma from colonialism, slavery, and many other things that have taken place. That's triggered inside of us, that it feels like I'm watching Kunta Kinte, my baby daddy, my man, my husband, get beat down in front of the kids all over again. That's the purpose in this. It re-traumatizes those who are observing while they are unaware of the intent. If you don't know the intent, it's more difficult for you to pivot your perception so that it doesn't have a negative effect on your mental and emotional space. So that is the same thing. It's just been updated to a digital version of being able to watch the man who protects you and your children and provides for you be cut down. So the purpose in these things is to keep us from getting in on the same wavelength together. Now, if you really look at the whole picture, what you see is this common theme. Do not go against the grain. Do as we tell you to do. And by doing that, you and your family will be safer. But does acquiescing really make us safer in the long run? It's not about the short term. You might be safe in the short term, but what was it in your bloodline that you were called to heal that doesn't get healed because the re-traumatization and the opening of the wounds, throwing salt in the wounds is happening, and the fear of going against the grain is too strong for you to even come up with a plan to be able to change the trajectory, even if it's just of your household, even if it's just of the way you operate and use your energy, your mental space, your emotional energy. This message has been used for a really long time, and we are now fully 400 years away from the curse of slavery and colonialism. Since that curse ended, it basically wore out. Curses only last for so long based on what they're predicated to do and how long. You can only put your foot on a group of people's necks for so long. Eventually, somebody is going to catch on, and somebody is going to rebel against the system of oppression. Now, there's another aspect to this. The spiritual warfare between the predominantly masculine and the predominantly feminine coming together to create relationships. We once thought that was a way to not be lonely and a way to survive. It's deeper than that. If men could accept the fact that women have an intuitive ability to see future potentials that they may not be able to see, then men won't get into certain situations that's going to be life negating to what they desire to be or achieve in life. They won't have to go and find all of these other ways to feel strong, to feel superior, to feel important. Think about how the news and everything, the movies, it's centered around oppressing the man. When a man is being oppressed continuously through the media, through the music, we could talk about the foods and the way it manipulates the hormones, vaping, decreasing testosterone. I mean, they continue to come up with ways to do these things chemically and energetically. So if men have to deal with that type of energy and they haven't yet figured out what is going to allow them to operate in their divine masculine energy, 9 times out of 10, when he get home, he's going to want to dominate so that he can relieve the sense of oppression, weakness, and emasculation that he feels. So the goal is to keep us on different wavelengths and keep us divided in our own household. When you see statistics of a lot of people deciding to get divorced, separated, or remain single, the spiritual undercurrent of that has nothing to do with people not being in relationships for the sake of survival or happiness. What is the system that is really operated in the background is y'all can't trust each other. Y'all don't know how to get on the same wavelength, and most of y'all don't have access to your geotish. You don't know your nakshatra. You don't know your galactic signature. You don't know the energetic synastry between you and your partner or potential partner. So if you're in the dark about those things, navigating relationship issues is going to feel impossible and is not going to bring forth results. We are multidimensional beings. Why is there such a strong system of suppression in the Black and brown community for us learning how to be in relationships and really be intimate and bond for real, where we're not fighting each other and disagreeing with each other? A lot of times women don't listen to the advice their men may be sharing with them because of trust issues, or because they feel like there's no empathy and compassion for one another. So if we feel resentful and we feel like we're not being appreciated and we don't know how to get on the same page, well, guess what? Trauma is going to incite fight or flight, freeze or fawn. And if those 4 F's are taking place, true inner bonding between two souls is not going to happen. Energetically right now, we're being called to focus on reclaiming our divine sovereignty by studying nature, which is harmonious enough for us to learn. All ancient cultures studied nature and animals and the cosmos to learn. This is how we discovered what herbs to use and not use. This is how we discovered the impact that celestial beings have on humans. And we created rituals and ceremonies around that. We conceived our children only after knowing it is the most prime time to do so. We have been mating in captivity and blind as to our true multidimensional power and the way it vibrates through multiple dimensions. I have mentioned a few times about the 5 root races and the way certain planets are connected to certain races. Growing up in the Black community, I have saw how powerful we are when we learn healthy communication. We have watched movements and powerful civil rights be attained from someone paying attention, observing unjust laws, and choosing to not abide by those laws that are unjust, treating human beings as if they are less than. These same characters often get trumped up charges, assassinated, their family gets taken hostage. So many things happen that we don't know about. When you don't know that the planet Mercury, which is the god of communication, the god of media, right? Basically, this is the cosmic internet. When you don't know that, your ability to create chaos through ignorant communication is exactly what is needed to keep us in disharmonious relationships with ourselves, with our partners, and with our children, and so forth. So many of us, including myself, talked about being the ones to end certain generational patterns. But how many of us can actually commit to seeing it through? How many of us keep going when the going gets tough? How many of us are willing to compromise our comfort zones to grow and evolve by shifting the way we communicate, what we communicate, and its intention. We actually create a bandwidth of frequency that permeates many dimensions. This is also the reason why music, weaponized, is being used to mass brainwash the masses, to cause the sheep to be led to the slaughter. When a powerful human being doesn't know, is taught to feel inferior, and has to witness being oppressed every day, the level of trauma, frustration, anger, rage, grief, and pain that incites on that person absolutely affects genetics. The way we live, eat, breathe, drink, communicate, love is impacting our DNA, which is the antenna that holds all of the codes, even the ones that are locked up, that they have also deemed to be junk, the same way that certain people have been deemed to be trash and not worthy. The sad part about this conversation is there are many remedies and solutions to this issue. However, if these solutions exist outside of monotheistic religions, it's considered demonic, wicked, evil, and of Satan. And that is actually the most amplified psychological enslaving thing to believe about ancient sciences that are not pseudoscience, that actually led to some of the greatest accomplishments in the history of mankind on planet Earth and beyond. A lot of people that want to be the ones to end generational curses have resistance to the solutions that will actually allow you to do that. That, my friends, is true mental enslavement. It is an invisible prison cell that we cannot see. By me sharing this information, just this one message alone, someone will be awakened from the false womb matrix of the 3D prison planet belief systems that have kept us anchored in the midst of chaos. Right now, there are people I love dearly that can't digest this information, yet they are struggling in life to find serenity, to recalibrate, and to actually liberate themselves from the psychological weaponization that has been spellcast over the whole world. Oftentimes these beliefs keep us in the sunken place. But the sunken place is comfortable because we've been there for so long and so many generations before us was there. This is the reason connecting to ancestors, deceased relatives, people you had a strong connection with in a positive way. This is why that's important to give honor to them for whatever knowledge, strength, wisdom that was provided for you. So people may see me as a witch, some type of black magic worker, attempting to deceive people, to cause harm to them. Well, if people visualize me that way, then that's exactly what they're going to have happening in their lives, because they don't have the ability to perceive energy for what it really is, which is liberation and healing. Now we have a small percentage of people willing to rethink their beliefs, to reset their values. And that small percentage, this is the great news, that small percentage is actually breaking the mass sorcery that has been committed over mankind. It don't have to be a lot of us. And we don't have to worry about who receives us and perceives us as being chosen ones to end certain patterns. It is only our responsibility to walk the path and the mission that has been given to us, despite how others may perceive the path. You cannot make a blind woman or man see just because you want to. And you can explain all day long. And I speak from experience. No matter how much I heard it or was explained to me, certain truths were not digestible. I wasn't on the channel to hear that truth for what it really was. This is something that comes up in relationships where one or both people in a relationship are going through the awakening. If you're dealing with a feminine dominant womb man, she is awakening to her gifts of clairvoyance, clairsentient, clairaudience, being able to read energy psychometry, telekinesis, telepathic, like all these things are very, very real abilities. There is a virus in the computer system called the brain that will shut down information coming through the feminine in relationship, because that man has had a foot on his neck for so long. Any attempt to show him something outside of what he perceives to be true, accurate, correct, or beneficial for him will simply frustrate him, upset him, and he may get defensive and just completely shut you out and become avoidant. This is the way the psychological enslavement is meant to be set up to keep us divided. Now, I'm not saying that women get everything right, but what I'm saying is, if more men would accept the fact that their woman is being activated and awakening, and there are gifts in her intuitively that she can operate into, even assist him in his own journey, if there's resistance for that, if the ability to see her as the oracle helping to transmute the pain inside his heart from having to live in this world, it is extremely difficult for a black and brown man to live in this world. It just is, until certain beliefs and systems, rituals are put in place for him to succeed, to get the foot off of his neck and walk into the powerful being that he already is. He just doesn't know. This is something that has come up between me and Ernest over and over and over again, where I'm telling him something. It's not coming from my logical mind. It's coming from my womb space connected to the cosmos and my heart, and I'm connecting with his heart. I see the pain in his heart, and I have access to the remedy. But if it seems like I'm just being another Lilith, another Eve, another Jezebel, another Sarah, and the list goes on and on. We can pick any story through the Bible and you will see and hear and read something negative about her. Women cannot be trusted. That's an unconscious, subconscious program. They're not aware that it's happening when it's happening. Being highly empathic and intuitive and able to see energy, I see the mechanisms that are occurring when this happens. I feel the firewall when it comes up. It feels like resistance. And in the past, I would try to push against it. And if I explained something for 3 or 4 hours and it still wasn't getting through, I would commit to another way of getting that information to him. And it was just a firewall I couldn't find a way around. I could not break through it. It's not meant for me to break through it. That's the masculine's journey, to be able to release the walls, let down the guard, be vulnerable, and trust the feminine. And what she is saying to him is actually coming from spirit and not her attempting to minimize his beliefs, ideas as being less than hers. One of my favorite teachers, John Wendland, talks about how the woman is the oracle to the man's heart. And this has a lot to do with the way we were created. It has also a lot to do with what we're doing day to day that impacts our gift in a beneficial way or a non-beneficial way. So this is the civil war taking place in our relationships that actually is a projection of what's happening inside of us between the mind and the heart, where it has been, the communication has been severed. The channel has a lot of static. Static shows up as trigger, trauma responses, fight, flight, being defensive, freeze, fawn. And on top of that, the chemicals that we have consumed have also affected brain development, our limbic system, our nervous system, our ability to connect with each other. This is the time for us to learn how to turn our shadows into superpowers instead of allowing the system that has caused so many of us to perceive ourselves as powerless and inferior to continue to be rooted in the way we cultivate relationships and the decisions that we make in our lives. I'm going to be honest right now. Even though this message, this Akashic download that I'm receiving is powerful enough for us to shift the paradigm, without ceremonies, rituals, discipline, and actually challenging ourselves to step out of our comfort zone to grow, this information will only be information and it will not become wisdom. Once information is received, understood, and put into action consistently, you better believe that is not anything that will get in the way of the manifestation of that type of alignment.
Royalty in disguise. Put your fist up in the sky.